Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Columbia Country Club on this beautiful Monday morning. Hi, my name is Dr. Bruce Barrett. I'm a professor of entomology at the University of Missouri. And we're here at this beautiful location to share with you some of the experiments we've conducted concerning the billbug. One of the concerns about billbugs is their size. They're very small, you don't see them. And another aspect about billbugs is that they are nocturnal. That means that the adults are only active during the nighttime. So they're small, they're active at night, and so we have to have an effective way to monitor their presence. This is an area not too long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, where it was heavily infested with billbugs. The fairways in the zoysia grass here was quite damaged quite a bit. One of the ways that we monitor billbugs is through the use of pitfall traps. Here we have a pitfall trap. It consists of a 3.5-inch PVC cap like this. We put a screen, a perforated screen in the bottom to allow for water drainage. And then we use a regular cup cutter. We insert the pitfall trap and we can push it down far enough that it's below the cutting surface. The billbugs at night, as they move around, they will fall into the trap. They can't get out, they can't climb out, and so then the next day we can come in and take counts. Okay, here we have some examples of the variation we find in the hunting billbug. These top 3 specimens, they look different colors, and in some cases different sizes, but they are all hunting billbug. You can see the color varies anything from a steel gray to kind of a dark red to almost a black color. But you can see, and we'll show you in a slide coming next, that one of the distinguishing characteristics between the hunting billbug and the bluegrass billbug here, this one, is on the pronotum, there is a smooth area, a Y-shaped area that's smooth, and on either side of that Y-shaped, there are 2 slightly curved smooth areas. This has sometimes been described as a parenthetical marking on it. But you can see those smooth areas on the billbugs, on the hunting billbug. The bluegrass billbug, the smaller of the 2 species, the third one, or the one behind the 3, does not have that distinct marking. You can see because of the small size, the dark color of the adults, that when they're active at night, we can't see them. You can't see them. In fact, it would probably be difficult to even see them during the daytime in the full sun, although I have seen them that way. That's why we've set up pitfall traps to monitor their activity during the nighttime. Okay, here we have a side-by-side comparison of the bluegrass billbug on the left with the hunting billbug on the right. You can see the morphological differences in the pronotum. This is the pronotal area of the billbugs. On the hunting billbug, in the center and off to the sides, there are areas that are smooth, that do not contain any tiny puncture marks. Over on the bluegrass billbug, you can see there are no smooth areas. And so that is a very good diagnostic characteristic to separate the hunting billbug from the bluegrass billbug. Here we have another comparison of the size of the grub on the right compared to a penny. The grub is about maybe, 7 to 9 millimeters in length. It's not very big. You can see on the left a picture of the legless grubs in soil. These are often referred to as white grubs, but they're really not true white grubs. We have another species of beetle from the genus of Phylophaga that are true white grubs, such as the masked chafer and the annual white grub. The bug white grub is legless. Here we have some damage, early season billbug damage of the hunting billbug. You can see it's kind of looks like a winter injury, but as you get closer you can see and you can pull up parts of the turf. It comes up rather easily. If there are lots of grubs feeding underneath the crown, it separates the root system from the crown area and it can peel right up, and you can see the grubs underneath the surface feeding on the roots. This is a graph showing 2 years worth of adult data, the adult billbugs that have been collected from the pitfall trap cups. The blue line is the hunting billbug total. The orange line is the bluegrass billbug count, and the gray line is a total of both species. You can see two distinct peaks in the springtime and also late summer and early fall, and this can extend 2 to 3 months. Well, as you can see, one of the biggest challenges we have in studying the hunting billbug is to make sure that we monitor their presence or absence during the year. I've talked briefly about how we use these pitfall traps. And in the beginning, we used to come out at night with the flashlight, shine the flashlight around the cup, around on the turf itself, and picking up billbugs. Well, that really wasn't a cost-effective way to do things. Then the idea came to us, let's use a sweeper. Can we sweep them up? Can we drive the sweeper back and forth and pick up some billbugs? These sweepers are typically used on synthetic turf fields like baseball, football fields, and we tried it, and lo and behold, it worked. We put an extra thin mesh screen to keep the small insects from dropping through. But here you can see that this screen prevents billbugs from dropping through. And just a short 18-second trial one night, we collected about 44 billbug adults. And you can see them right here. Okay, the sweeping aspect, we sweep 3 times a week, and we do this for 2 weeks in the spring. That's because the emergence pattern or period for the billbug is much shorter than in the fall. In the fall, we also sweep 3 times a week, but we do it for 3 weeks. The timing has been based on a lot of what we learned in the biology study that I showed you before. And so the application of the adult insecticide is done during the daytime or nighttime, depending on the treatment. Here we have a table showing the different treatments. We have the control treatment, and we have a chemical treatment that consisted of bifenthrin applied either during the daytime or at nighttime, at least after 10 o'clock at night. On the far right, you can see the dates of the timing of those insecticide applications. Then we have the mechanical method, which was the sweeper, and you can see the dates of the sweeping that took place. This graph shows the adult counts based on the sweeping treatment. You can see in 1 year, in the fall, we had fairly high numbers. And then as we progressed through the fall and then into the early spring of the following year, the numbers of adults collected dropped dramatically. This is a graph showing the overall turf performance in terms of turf quality between the control, the insecticide, and the sweeping treatment. Some of the conclusions of the studies we've done thus far with the hunting billbug. The presence of billbugs can be easily overlooked, and damage on turf is often misdiagnosed. Pitfall traps are an effective way to monitor for adult populations. Chemical control of adults needs to be timed based on the biology, and we need to spray for adult populations in the spring and again in the fall in Missouri and probably also in surrounding states. We found that using a turf sweeper can effectively remove billbug adults in the fall and in the spring, and that would lead to our reduction in reliance on insecticides. A future study will explore the effectiveness of sweeping during the daytime when the peak adult population appears in the spring and the fall. We thank so very much the funding agents for these projects, such as the Golf Course Superintendents Association, USGA, NCR SARE, and NIFA.